Hi, Gary Zacharias again. We've gone through 3 videos that have looked at the paragraph, just the single paragraph, and we've talked about the topic sentence, we talked about support, and then we talked about a good concluding sentence, and that should be a nice tight paragraph that you've written. But a single paragraph doesn't usually just exist by itself. People put several of these together to create something called an essay. So that's what we want to spend some time on now, is to take a look at essay writing, because it'll involve some of the same skills with a few added twists there. So you remember how we had 3 sections for your paragraph? You had the topic sentence, you had the support, and then you had the concluding sentence. Well, we're going to find a similar 3-part pattern when we look at the essay. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did with those 3 parts of the paragraph. We're going to break the essay into 3 parts as well. So today let's talk about the first part of an essay, which is the opening paragraph. So the first paragraph. It's going to look a little different than what you're used to as far as single paragraph writing. It's going to be, in a sense, an inverted, an upside down paragraph. You know, when you wrote your paragraphs before and heard me talking about them, we always said start with a good topic sentence and then add support. This is going to flip it around. You're going to do something different at the beginning and then have your main point at the end. And the main point at the end is called your thesis. So that's going to be the direction for the whole paper. That's a thesis. But let's not worry about the thesis yet. We want to do something that's going to introduce people to the topic. And so you don't want to just hit it immediately and surprise them. You want to warm the reader up a little bit. You want to open the door. You want to gradually bring them into your topic. And so there are several ways to do that. I'm using the book again. Feel free to send for it, PDF format. It's English Essentials, and that's what we're calling this entire series. So I'm on page 10, and we're talking about the essay, the structure of the essay. So it's got 3 major parts, and you can see I've got all 3 right on that page there. And I know it doesn't look like much, but we're going to spend time for each one of those. So today let's talk about your intro paragraph. So that just introduces the topic, gets people thinking about what you're up to. The last sentence is going to be the thesis. That's going to be exactly what you want to accomplish in the rest of the paper. So we're going to talk about several ways that you can get this thing off and running. I know so many students that say, well, I know what I want to say, but I can't figure out how to get people interested in it. I can't figure out how to get this thing rolling. So I'm going to give you some ideas. So here they are. Can you see I'm about 2/3 of the way down under that paragraph that says introductory paragraph? I said the writer can use several methods. First is you can tell a story. A story is great. Everybody loves stories. Nobody outgrows stories. We've got Hollywood producing a lot of stories. We had stories when we were kids. So put a story there. So for example, let's go back to the idea of a wrecked car, or your car is driving you crazy. You could start with telling just a short story and say there you were looking for that chance to get out and take a nice drive, and you got in your car, and you headed toward the beach. You were going to drive up and down the beach and see the coastline, and then everything went crazy on it. Right? So you spend 2 or 3 sentences telling about how you're excited and you're going to get in the car and have this great drive, and then your last sentence will be your thesis, and it'll say something like, that day my car drove me crazy, or that day that my car had all sorts of problems. So you start with a story, and then that leads into the thesis that you want to have. Okay, let's go beyond that one though. So story's great. Maybe one thing to think about, don't let your story take over. Don't let your story become so long that it eats up an entire paragraph. It eats up a half a page. It eats up 3/4 of a page. You don't want to do that. Just briefly do a story. 2 to 3 to 4 sentences, that's plenty. Then your next sentence is the thesis, what it is you want to do for your paper. Okay? Here's the second way that you can get a story started. I always tell my students this is a guarantee. It's a 100% money-back guarantee. You can always do what's called a funnel. So a funnel, I know, sounds odd. What are we talking about, a funnel? Well, think about what a funnel looks like. It starts, a funnel is anything that starts large at the top and it narrows down toward the bottom, right? That's a funnel shape. So I want you to think about it this way as far as an essay goes. Your thesis is going to be that bottom part of the funnel. It's the direction for the entire rest of the paper. Okay? So there's your bottom of the funnel. What you want to do from that is back off and think about what big issue of life is this essay going to be about? What is this thesis going to be about? And that's going to be your first sentence. Then your second sentence is going to narrow it down a little bit, and your third sentence is going to narrow it down some more, and finally you have your thesis. So I know that's kind of hard to think about. Let me take you to some examples. If you go to page 13 in the textbook, here's an example. It's something called Finding the Right Career. I'm not reading the whole paper, but let's just look at the opening paragraph. There's a new book out to help people take practical steps to find the right career for them. Okay, so it says there's a book. Have I identified the book yet? No. So it just says there's this book, and here's what the book is trying to do. Here's sentence number 2. It's called 48 Days to the Work You Love by Dan Miller. All right, now I said there's a book, fuzzy, nobody knows exactly what. Now I say here's the name of the book. Look at the third sentence. It was recently reviewed in a magazine called World Magazine by Marvin Olasky. So now you're saying, okay, so he's going to do a book. Here's the name of the book. What does he want to do with the book? Well, apparently I'm going to be doing something with it based on an interview, right? So there's this interview. Let's go down to the fourth sentence, which is going to be the thesis. Between the two men. What two men? Those two men that I introduced. There were useful insights into career searches, which are such an important part of people's lives. So can you see at this point, I've not only told you there's this book, here's the name of the book, here are these two guys, but it says that useful insights. So this paper is only going to talk about the good things about the book. So do you see how there was a funnel going on there? There's this book, here's the name, here are the two people, and here's what I want to say about it. So that's an example of a funnel. Let me show you one more. Just flip over one page. Page 14. There's another essay I wrote called 4 Cardinal Virtues near the bottom of page 14. Here's how it starts. C.S. Lewis wrote a famous book entitled Mere Christianity, which has become a classic, read by millions. Okay, so I just tell you there's this book out there. You don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. I've got to get more specific. I've got to bring that funnel down to a nice sharp point for my paper, but not yet. So there's this book. I came across a section in this book devoted to 4 cardinal virtues. So notice I said there's this book. That's a book, hundreds of pages. Now I'm taking it down to just one section of that book. It struck me that there's a good reason why these are considered classic virtues by many varied societies down through the ages. They're still true today. So I say that there's this book that has a section, and those virtues that it talks about are useful today. Can you see that funnel happening? I hope so. Here's one more, page 21. Okay, this one is called Some Good News on the Energy Front. Here's how I started. Recent newspaper articles reporting on new sources of energy have brought some needed good news. Some good news. Do you see how broad that is at this point? I haven't gotten very specific yet. Second sentence, so much negative information has been out there regarding our future energy situation with claims we're running out of everything and must depend on costly and unproven new green energy. So I'm saying, you got all these problems out there. Well, what's this? And there's some good news, but it's mixed in with all these problems. What's the good news? Here it comes, third sentence. Well, fourth sentence. Third sentence says that's not true. So in other words, don't worry about all of that. Here we go. The U.S. is on the verge of an industrial renaissance. Hydraulic fracturing is part of shale drilling. Okay, so that's the single point that I want to spend the paper on, this new kind of technology. I just said at first there is a technology. It's going against all these negative feelings, and here it is. So there's my funnel happening again. All right, so does that make sense, writing a funnel? The catch with the funnel is that you have to start with your thesis. So start with the thesis. If you want to tell me you admire a certain baseball player, okay, so-and-so is your favorite baseball player. Well, then you have to go back and figure out, how do I create a funnel? Well, what's baseball? It's a sport. So maybe you just talk about how Americans love sports. Then you say, all right, so I've talked about a lot of sports. What's one sport that I want to talk about? Shrink that funnel down. All sports. Second sentence, baseball has been popular for a long time in America. Okay, now what do you want to do with baseball? You could do so many things. You could talk about ballparks. You could talk about general managers. You could talk about ball players. Well, that's what you want to talk about. So you go sports, baseball, third sentence might be something like, many good players have been involved in the sport over the years. Then your fourth sentence is your thesis. Here's the one player I want to talk about. So you went from sports to baseball to players to this one player. Can you feel that funnel happening? It works for any topic imaginable. Okay, let's go back to page 10. So we've talked about stories. We've talked about funnels. A question, starting with a question. Get people thinking. So if you're talking about your car again, you say, has your car ever driven you crazy? Well, every car drives people crazy. Something goes wrong with it. So you've got people already pulled into your essay because you've asked them a question that they have thought about. Here's another possibility, starting with a quotation. I want to take just a second here. I've got something called a book of insults. Okay, I know that's just me being odd, but I find people that are clever with their statements crack me up. I really enjoy them. Somebody was talking about a book that they had to read. It says, your manuscript, right? So somebody sent them a manuscript to say, what do you think about this? Probably an editor got sent this manuscript, and here's what the editor had to say. Your manuscript is both good and original, but the part that is good is not original, and the part that is original is not good. Ooh, what a put down, huh? Maybe you want to start your paper with a quotation like that. Let me give you another possibility. This was somebody talking about the United States House of Representatives. Okay, so I don't know what you feel about politics. This has nothing to do with politics as far as Democrats or Republicans or any other group. But this person was talking about he had observed Congress, and he said, they never open their mouths without subtracting from the sum of human knowledge. Oh, whoa, okay, that's pretty painful, huh? Here's somebody talking about art, modern art. You ever seen some modern art, kind of that abstract stuff where you're looking at it, not sure if it's even put the right side up? All right, well, if you're not a fan of abstract modern art, you'll love this quotation. What is abstract art? He says, a product of the untalented, sold by the unprincipled to the utterly bewildered. Ooh, okay, that's pretty grim. Let me end on one more, Mark Twain. One of my favorite authors, American author. He said, man is the only animal that blushes or needs to. Ah, wow. Okay, so you can find, there's a place called Brainy Quotes. You can go online, and it's organized by topic. So if, let's say you want to do a paper about the American family, just type in family, and you'll find dozens of good quotations that might be a nice way to start. You know why I like quotations a lot? It shows that you were interested enough in your topic to do a little research. So you went out and you found Emily Dickinson, or you found Mark Twain, or Florence Nightingale, or somebody well-known, Toni Morrison, or whoever, and you said, this is good, this fits in with my topic, and you plug it in. It makes you look like a good, sincere, hardworking author, so you might want to consider something about that. The last thing is a startling statement. I remember years ago I read an article that was talking about auto wrecks in this country and how many people die. And the persons that wrote the article said, first sentence, by the time you finish reading this, 13 people will be dead in this country from car crashes. Now, I can't remember the statistic. It was something like that. And I thought, oh, because I'm sitting there comfortable reading this article, but meanwhile people are in accidents and glasses flying and gasoline is spilling on the road and people are lying there broken and bleeding. And it just made me kind of jump thinking about that. So those are some ways that you can get going, right? And if you can think of other methods, great. But these are often used, they're very effective. So you start with something like that, your first 3 to 4 sentences, you plug in your thesis, and you're off and running. You've got yourself a great start to an essay. So this is session number 4, just how to write an opener. The next session we'll talk about good body paragraphs. That means the places where you're going to support your thesis. So we'll talk about that next time. Thanks again for tuning in. See you later.